adhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so now next, see now these are the last four verses. They are just kind of a closure, which is just kind of reiterating what is already taught, right? Already whatever needs to be told. What are the main themes that you think you saw from whatever you heard in the chapter? What is it that Lord Krishna wants to convey? If I ask you, what would you say?
In life we deal with our senses, we deal with, we look outwards and we use our senses to, to engage with the world. So because it is so conditioned, we miss the fact that we have this, first we have to talk about Ishvara, I guess, but the basic thing would be the awareness without his presence, we cannot engage with the world. Okay? And then we go on to see the creator of the world, the all-intelligence, how that is so important in everything in our lives and how it is intertwined within us, within every single thing in this universe.
So true. And then the last step is what? This resolution of awareness and Ishvara.
Ishvara in the form, we can understand in the form of the wave and the ocean and the water. So the wave would imagine that it's that small little wave and living in that little wave along with small waves around it. Once it sort of lifts itself a little out and sees that I am part of this big mighty ocean, and so I'm not less than that mindless, I mean that wide mighty ocean. So I need to respect it, of course. It's a very important because it's got its all intelligence and the knowledge which we respect, but knowing that we are a part of the ocean, and the last step is that the wave is the water and the ocean is the water, and so we both merge into the ocean, into the water.
Perfect. Wonderful. She's very good. Excellent. Nice, lovely. Lovely. So it's very nice, and so that's what the whole message is. And then this is the really ultimate, and after that what he says that there are people who understand me partially, and that's fine too, right? Don't disturb them because they are all on the way, right? So, and if you try to abort that whole natural process of their evolution and try to hurry it up, sometimes it may work, you shake a person a little bit. In fact, a lot of crises in life, they shake a person. We are all so used to our paradigm, and something extraordinary happens and we don't quite know how to handle it, and it pushes us also towards this knowledge. It's not that everybody only, see, we always imagine that everybody has some kind of a linear progression. No. Sometimes it's linear, sometimes it's quantum, all that is possibility, and it all happens to everyone, right? So this is where he says, don't worry about the burden of, one thing is very important, the burden, the whole pursuit is not about what changing the world. Otherwise, the noble person and the noble acts are what? somehow bringing about some change to the outside world, which is a very noble thing. But here the whole focus is what? You. The whole spirituality, the focus is you. Because you want to change the world from the standpoint of what you understand the world to be, and that very understanding itself is faulty. And then with that faulty understanding you try to make all the changes, and they never also get done exactly the way you want. Then you add your frustrations with your feeling of righteousness. So therefore the whole thing has to be dropped, and you just need to be alive to a new vision altogether, where the burden of what the world is not on you. Only you have, like Swamiji yesterday was saying, if things outside bother you, what is our response? You keep talking about those things, and every time you talk about it, what happens? You are even more dissatisfied because you bring to your mind all the injustice that you see and all the things which seem unfair and all that. The only way to really deal with it is to say, okay, if this is what I think is a problem, what can I do about it? There, what you are doing is, instead of carrying the burden of the problem, you are finding what steps that you can contribute towards what solving it, if it is so important for you. Now, when you want to solve it, you said, okay, now I don't like the policy of US government. So now, what are you going to do? Are you going to write to Mr. President, I don't agree with all your policy? What are you going to do? So you also then have to recognize what your sphere of influence. That's a very important way of intelligently dealing with the world. Maybe you can't write to him, but if you really believe in some issues, you can write a little article and try to publish it in the newspaper. So that means whatever you can do about your convictions, you have to be proactive. But also you have to pray that, hey, my convictions are not at a wrong place. Satyam and Dhrutam. I can feel very strongly about certain issues, but they themselves may not be a valid issue. So I'll just give you, even in subtle things, I see it all the time. People misunderstand what the issues are. So when I was working with the UN, so we have like a lot of meetings, and where you have to talk about very fundamental policy issues and things like that. And everybody is free to participate. And many times I would see that in meetings, most of the time, men talk, right? And then after the meeting is over, the women come out and they are all like dissatisfied, and they said, these men just take over and they don't even listen to women and this and that. Then I asked them, I said, but did you even try to speak? So you didn't even try to say, and you are automatically assuming there is a whole mental model going on. The first starting point is our voices will not be heard. That is something which is an inner message that you give to yourself. Then when you have to go to that meeting, you are caught within that paradigm. Nobody will hear me. So therefore you don't even speak. And after the meeting is over, you further complain that how men are so dominating. You see how we get caught, we create a world and it all seems like a reality to us. The whole thing is pratibhasika, and we keep on building. We use the data to keep building on that pratibhasika, and you convince yourself this is how things are. And a lot of it is like that, Nita, in relationships. There are all these messages, I'm unloved, all these messages we carry. This lack that we feel, all these things which are all our burdens, and you almost think that this person is going to magically cure everything that that all the lacks that I feel, all the isolation that I feel, all the feeling of love that I did not receive. This person will be able to fulfill all the needs. And when that doesn't happen, then what? All the problems start. Because you start projecting dissatisfaction on the other partner rather than saying, hey, these are unrealistic expectations. Nobody can do that. So this is how the whole getting well is a very, you need so much grace even to get grip of what exactly the problem is. Because when you are looking for a solution at a wrong place, you'll never find it. Even to identify what is real problem itself is what a difficult thing. And then to have the courage to solve it itself is another. Because when you identify real problems, it's not about others, may play their role. But it's not about outside, it's also about you. And that's hard. You start seeing yourself in your true light, and many of these things are not acceptable to you. And that when things are not acceptable, that whole thing of what past pattern of condemning, I'm inadequate, or will I be able to make it, or will I, have, all these doubts start re-emerging. You get back into this whole pattern of, your orientations. This is why yesterday I think one of the most important thing that I feel that this Swamiji that we saw, he said, and that is what? That self-love, self-acceptance. One of the biggest problems. The more you want to prove to the world that you are somebody, the more what? You are dependent upon their recognition for you to feel good about yourself. There is a need there. There's a very deep need, unsatisfied need of nourishment. And you have to recognize that behind this pressure that I have to do this and to do that, and there is a huge vacuum there. And then you need to realize and you need to heal this person. Because unless the healing is about all the time the same, or you can't come out of that orientation. And then you say that, hey, I need to really, all these corrections are very essential for me to come back to alignment. I think last night, Rashna somebody used the word derailed. Who used the word derailed? I use the word derailed. Okay. So you're derailed, and then what happens? Your train, what happens is derailed.
It's
not moving properly, right? What do you need to do? Put it back on track. So putting back on track is growth. Everybody will fall back into the past patterns. There is nobody who will just listen to Vedanta once and gets it. Anybody who says that I have just got it all doesn't want to actually deal with issues. And in some ways it's true. Vedanta is all repetition. What else is there? The whole thing is what, as Swamiji was saying, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. That's all. Like how beautifully Kashi did this. What is this Jagat? He put what Jagat is what Sthula, Sukshma and Karana. Whether it is Vyashti, individual, or Samashti. Everything. That is Jagat and time space within which they all interact. And there is what the intelligence from which what the entire prapancha comes, the entire stage and characters come, and the interactions are defined. This is Ishvara. And both the intelligence and the prapancha have one reality, which is Brahman. Brilliant. And in every prapancha where you look, you will find all three. You will find the forms, you will find the intelligence, and you will find the awareness. All three you will find. Brilliant. But in order to have clarity in this vision, your mind has to be uncluttered. Otherwise, what happens is that this whole reasoning, which is such a blessing, it just muddles you up. And this is where Swami, yesterday I liked very much what Swamiji was saying. He was it's amazing, it's, when the truth and clarity comes out from whoever it is, you see Ishvara there. You don't feel competitive, you don't feel jealous, you just enjoy that another expression of clarity. Anytime anybody who thinks clearly and speaks clearly, it's a pleasure. It's a total pleasure. Right? What he was saying was very interesting. He says, when you come to Vedanta, you have to make an attempt what the teacher is right. Why? Because if the teacher is right, what is the truth about yourself?
I'm sorry, see.
If the teacher is right, then what is the truth about you?
I become limitless.
That you are limitless. And if you are right, you remain who? Just that little helpless you. That's why you want the teacher to be right. Because if the teacher is right, you become, it's not for teacher to be right. It is in your interest because it solves your problem that you have been searching for centuries and yugas. And if you are right, then what happens?
The search continues.
The search continues and that misery continues. So what is at stake is limitlessness. Either there is limitation or there is limitlessness. One of the two. Which is right. And according to Vedanta Shastra, you are not limited. The starting point is you're not a sinner, you're not a limited person who has to have blessing of Ishvara to become limitless. Hey, what is the teaching? You already are that. All you need to do is to lift your ignorance. What is this resistance that we have? What are we trying to prove when we don't want to accept this vision? What are we trying to prove? We just really need to ask ourselves. I loved yesterday when Neeta said that, she has a very clear, very analytical mind, and she told me yesterday, she says, I really don't want to argue for the sake of arguing. Lovely. Because you can always use your intellect to what? Just keep on arguing. But she says, I want to listen to it, I want to really understand it properly, and in case I have doubt, then I want. That whole attitude is a healthy attitude. You'll be blessed with knowledge. There are so many people who have pressure of proving themselves as smart. And it's a futile, because by proving that they are smart, they are working so hard to keep themselves highly limited. That's your choice. You have to use that. The choice is given to you. Lord Krishna says, and you have to decide how you choose your faculty of choice. So, this is all what is talked about, that if you choose limited, I will bless you with that. I have no problem, I have no agenda for you. But if you choose lucidly your goals and work towards them intelligently, I will also bless you with this knowledge. Both are possibilities. So that is also what he says. Then he says there are certain setbacks which the people encounter in the pursuit without even knowing them. Okay? So here he says, Ichcha dvesha samuddhena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Okay. So one interesting thing, what are the possible, whether before you come to Vedanta or after you come to Vedanta, what you can at any given point in time go on a tangent. So what makes you go on a tangent? It's not that before you come to Vedanta you are searching somewhere and then once you come to Vedanta then what everything is solved. While being in Vedanta also you can go on a tangent. So he says, Ichcha dvesha samuddhena. Right? That means that the desire and dvesha, dislike. So these two work in a very innocuous way. This is where Swamiji was saying yesterday that Ichcha is what? That your desire. And what is a desire? To have, he was saying that one student came with an expectation that Vedanta is going to give you what? Some constant experience of happiness. When he discovered that when we are talking about the fulfillment, we are not talking about what? Stretching that experience that we feel with the subtle mind forever. We are talking about what? Rediscovering ourselves as not limited but limitless. Now when the person figures that out, then the person is what? Disappointed. When the person is disappointed because person was expecting something else out of it. And then when the person realizes that this is not what I am going to get, he takes a break. What has taken him, where is the commitment? Is the commitment is to understanding the truth or is the commitment to just feeling good? This is where, even though it is moksha pursuit, which is what? Your fulfillment, what is the means for getting moksha? Knowledge. And knowledge is always in keeping with what is. So this is where you have to understand that any knowledge is what? Vastu Tantra. Karma is Purusha Tantra and knowledge is Vastu Tantra. Okay, what does it mean? Okay. So when it comes to karma, you have a choice. As I told you last time, that you have what? Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava kartum shakyam. You can do it, you need not do it, and you can do it differently. And what you can do differently, there are how many different possibilities? Huge range of possibilities. It's not like there is one choice, do it differently. In that choice, there are a lot of choices. Right? So that means it's free will. So if I say that Kashi, come and take these flowers. So Kashi has a choice. Either he can sit and smile, right? Or he can come and take it, or he can take it and give it to Rashna. All the possibilities are, or to Prem, or to Nita, or to Surya, whatever, or he can give it to the peacocks, or he can do what he wants. This is where he has a choice. But if I ask him, so that means karma is Purusha Tantra, it's centered on your free will. But if I ask him, Kashi, what flower is this that you got me? What is this flower?
If you ask
If I ask Kashi, Kashi, what is this flower? No, I'm asking, what is this flower?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, exactly. I don't know. So now, is there a choice here?
No.
There is no choice.
Either I know it and I'll say it, or I don't know and I can't say it.
Excellent. There is no choice here. It's not like, yeah, I want it to be rose, or I want it to be a lotus, or I want it to be what, that naga flower that you brought, and then jasmine, and what, I have a choice. You have no choice when it comes to knowledge. It is what? Vastu Tantra. This decides what is. You have your free will. You say, oh, jasmine is not, I wish it was rose. Does your free will have got anything to do with this? Any knowledge is Vastu Tantra. It is in keeping with what is. So what is your commitment? To understand what is. Right? So that means if you come to this Vedanta Shastra, what is your commitment?
Understanding.
To understand what is. Is not to satisfy your expectations. That is not why you come to Vedanta. You have no choice. It's not a matter of liking or not liking it. Right? That the happiness that you get is from Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira means you need a subtle body to feel emotions. Without subtle body, there are no emotions expressed. And what happens is that different living beings have different subtle bodies. And because they have different subtle bodies, the intensity of pleasures they can enjoy is what? Different. So that means if you go to heaven and if you have subtler body, then what will happen? Your capacity to enjoy is more. And if you have a little less developed Sukshma Sharira, you still can be happy, but the capacity to enjoy is little less. So that means there are gradations. In Taittiriya Upanishad, there is this whole thing of Ananda Taratamya. There are all these beings in different lokas and they all have what? Different Ananda. Why? Because their karmas are different. Their karmas have given them different types of bodies and different types of environment, and through that what they have what? Either increasing pleasure or less pleasure. So here he says the highest unit that you can get as on this earth is an imagined person. The person who has what? All the wealth of the world. The person not only has wealth, but the person also has power. Then the person has also intelligence. Now imagine this person. Doesn't exist. And plus the person is still young. This is an imaginary person which doesn't exist. There is no person like that. But he says, that Ananda, imagine that person will get is only one unit. When you go to Pitruloka, any person who's in Pitruloka will have more Ananda than this person. Pitruloka means there are other lokas after the death where they take you, which are higher. So that means you'll have more Ananda in Pitruloka. Why? Because your subtle body is different. The objects are different. Your capacity to enjoy is going to be different. Then from Pitruloka, what? You go to Devaloka. Subtler body. Subtler objects. What? you have what? Still more Ananda. Then you go to Indra Loka. So that means as you move up in the Loka, what happens? The objects become subtler. The mind with which you enjoy the objects becomes subtler. So the experience of Ananda what? Changes. And it intensifies. It's lovely. That's why people are committed to going to lokas, because you have types of anandas which are not possible on this earth. And he says, all the karmas that everybody is experiencing, starting from earth to all the Brahmaloka is the highest, the wise person has it. How does a wise person have Shrotriyasya cha kama hatasya?
So recognizes his free.
Exactly. He recognizes one very important thing. No matter where, which jiva is experiencing what ananda with their subtle body, engaging in the external world, is through what? The seeker sought resolution. Seeker sought resolution means, here I said I want a BMW. So I am now the seeker of BMW. When the BMW comes to me, what happens? There is a seeker sought resolution. Then there is what we call the experience ananda. But by the time I finish experiencing, one day I'll be on a high with BMW, next day my neighbor bought Jaguar, and I'm again what? Dissatisfied. Or I went to a party and I saw somebody wearing this beautiful diamond, and then I become seeker of that. So this is how it keeps going.
No end.
No end. But that momentary happiness that I get, I do get. If I didn't get, people are not stupid. They will not engage in that. Because you get that momentary happiness, what happens? You get hooked. You feel you want more of it, or you want to retain it, or you want to intensify that pleasure, and that's how you keep going. So that means what gives you happiness is neither the object, because the same object, if that object was giving you happiness, life is very easy. You just need to hold on to that object, and every time you are with that object, you will be happy. That is not true. You can't say, oh, happiness is within me. If happiness was within you, you will not be searching for it outside. So these are all, they all sound wonderful, but it's all nonsense. The very fact that you are searching means what? There is no happiness within. You can't say that there is happiness within. Neither there is happiness in the seeker, nor there is happiness in the sought. Then but still I experience happiness. How? Only because what? When in the presence of that object, the seeker and sought are resolved for a moment, till a new desire pops up. And this process goes on not only on earth, but also in all these subsequent lokas. Pitruloka, Devaloka, what? Indraloka, this Brahmaloka, everywhere that same thing goes on. Only the subtle bodies keep changing and the objects keep changing. And the units of pleasures keep on increasing. What does the Gnani know? All that is here is one. All that is here is Advaita. Advaita means what? This awareness which as though manifests as many. And if I am that awareness and everything is dependent on me for its existence, where is the seeker and sought fundamentally in terms of my understanding? The seeker and sought is resolved forever in my understanding of what? The true nature of Atma. This little individual will keep on having, the mind will keep on having some desires here and there. But fundamentally, who am I? That awareness. And anything, if you really place your eye in awareness, is there a second thing which is to be sought? Mithya and Satyam don't make two. Mithya and Satyam relationship is such which is what? In spite of the plurality, there is only one. If there is only one and that is me, if I am Satyam and everything else is Mithya, how can I be really the seeker? The status of being a seeker is what? Removed forever through knowledge, by knowing fullness of Atma. This is what he was saying, that here what we are talking about is not this subtle body experience. What we are talking about is the knowledge of Atma being what? Full. If it is full, it is not a seeker. And there is no second thing. So where is the sought? The seeker sought resolution that you are seeking through subtle body is solved by the person who has knowledge through what? Understanding the relationship between I and Jagat. Is it clear?
Question.
Yes.
When you die, your subtle body also continues.
So for a non-Jnani, yes, your subtle body. See, there are, your subtle body obviously, either the subtle body continues and it gets reprogrammed or you get new subtle body. I mean, it really is a technicality. But the truth is that, only through subtle body you have experiences. Without subtle body you don't have experiences. This is why when you die, you are not able to enjoy anything. Why? Because in order to enjoy things, you need to be alive. And in order to be alive, you need subtle body. So everybody else, that the experience of happiness that we are seeking is what? Through subtle body. What? I seek something, what the thought arises in my mind, right? Now I want to go for Jaguar. The other person wants to go for Maruti because right now it is what? Is driving a Honda bike. So where is this seeking, where does it arise? Where does it arise? In the mind. So the seeker, then what happens? You create strategies to get what you seek. Where is the experience of happiness happening? In your mind. Everything is in your mind. So that's why everybody else is what? Experiencing happiness through mind. Jnani is the one who also has mind and also has what? Changing experiences like everybody else. But what does the Jnani know about the true nature of I?
It's already full.
Exactly. Exactly.
Resolved.
Absolutely. That the I, if I put my I in awareness, its right place, then it is already full. Where I is not, tell me. It's the Satyam of everything. Where is it? Everywhere. And is there anything else other than I? If it is Satya Mithya relationship, are there two? The table and wood, do they make two? namas can be many, content is only one. And if I am that content, where is the question of my seeking anything? My relationship with the world is not that I am a seeker and I need to, there is something sought which I need to come in contact with in order for me to be happy. What is my understanding of the world? I am that Satyam, Brahma Satyam, and the entire Jagat is Mithya. The whole equation has changed. The Mithya depends upon Satyam. Satyam is independent of Mithya. There is no second thing. Where is a question of me seeking a sort that is resolved forever. This is why they say Jnani gets what? Swarupananda. Swarupananda means what? That seeker sort division is resolved forever. Whereas the others are trying to resolve it through what? Subtle body coming in contact with object. Do you understand that? Is it clear? Is it clear? So,
just one question I want to ask. When you were talking about heaven and the layers of heaven, now when that subtle body goes there, awareness is obviously there as well.
Yes, exactly.
But they can't recognize that awareness in that state.
No, nobody, see, until you are, see, within Maya, Avidya, the travel happens. The minute you recognize I am that awareness, the whole travel goes. This is what we said, no? You are free from traveling as an individual to different places. So that means whether you go to Indraloka or you go to Pitraloka, the ignorance is not removed.
Awareness, everything is there, but we
Exactly. So we continue our travel with the cover.
In these lokas, is there a possibility of acquiring this knowledge?
That's a very nice, good question. In these lokas, what they say is, you are predominantly a bhokta. So the better lokas means you have nice, pleasurable experiences. That's why people are committed to going to lokas. And when you have nice, pleasurable experiences, one thing after the other, right? Here there was a concert of Zubin Mehta in Bombay. And so people went and everybody had bought tickets for, I don't know, some crazy amounts, and they fought the traffic on Marine Drive and parking and everything. And then they said, oh, it was wonderful, but it was only 1 hour. It was too short.
It really was.
So this is where, you make so much effort, and then what? It is, then it is ending, and then you're enjoying so much that it seems, oh my God, it could have been so much longer. So that means there is so much effort to get that 1 hour of pleasure. Right? In Indraloka and all, things are much easier. You don't need to fight the traffic. You don't need to, and the length is much longer. So what happens? You are predominantly a bhokta. Predominantly punya takes you to what? Better and better and better lokas. And you are just mostly a bhokta. And when you have everything, one pleasure after the other, there is a big fundamental questions of life.
Wouldn't that higher level, when you come down again, guide you towards...
No, it's like you have gone on a wonderful vacation and you've had a great time with beautiful beach and lovely mountains and lovely waters and warm water and coconut and spa and everything. You had a great time there. Did it really make you wiser? You had a great time, sure.
So without being alive on this earth, you can't gain this knowledge.
So what they say is that in order to gain the knowledge, you have to have human or equivalent birth. Equivalent means it can be anywhere in the universe, but what is a human, what is speciality about human birth? The subtle body is programmed in a way that you can figure it out. You are born with a certain sense of I, and you are given a mind which also, because of which, what it will load that I with all kinds of things, which then at one given point in time becomes unsustainable. Then you look for answers. So that means human birth in terms of Punya Papa, so all the Deva and Indra Loka and all, it's predominantly Punya. Your Punya which will give you very favorable subtle body and your spending. In a human birth, you are mixture. Punya Papa Mishra. Everybody is what? Everybody has one's own Punya and everybody also has one's Papa. Papas give you what? Challenges. Unlike in Devaloka where everything is smooth. When they give you challenges, and Punya also give you little comforts, they give you nice house to live, they give you nice family, they give you all good things also. But they also give you your fair share of challenges. When the challenges come, then what happens? It pushes you, because you also understand that I'm quite helpless. It pushes you to know more about how things work. When it pushes you to know more, if you have enough grace, it can bring you to Vedanta. And if it does bring you to Vedanta, and if you use that pramana judiciously, and if you make your effort for your self-growth and alignment, if you bring that Ishvara in your life and just get well, then what? The entire thing can be known. Human birth, this is why, even though human birth is full of challenges, it says human birth is very difficult to get. Because why? In one birth, not because it is all pleasures, but in that birth you are not only bhokta, you are also a karta. And that karta can either engage partially, like how Lord Krishna was saying, or can figure the whole thing out. That possibility of moksha is given in human mind. This is why they say human birth is a very precious birth.
So my continuation of question is, if subtle body is existing in these lokas, and we are using our actions, yes, but the realization is happening in the subtle body, right?
Absolutely.
So why is it then not possible in a state where you're not presented with challenges, but your intellect has developed further?
It is, yes, it's true. So let's say that, let's say for a medical doctor, his intellect is what? Extremely well developed. Right? It's not like it's not developed, much more than maybe just a normal person who's coming to Vedanta. But it is developed in what? That given direction where he's excelling. See, every developed intellect may not come to Vedanta. So this is why. They are exalted beings, Devas and all these, Indra and all. But sometimes it's true that it is a possibility. There is Kenopanishad story, which is a very lovely story, where there was a battle between, this is a nice story, you must know. There was a battle between what? Devas and Asuras. And Devas won. And Devas became very proud that it is our glory. Then what did Ishvara wanted to show? Because Devas are all entities, exalted jivas with who have done punya, and they are enjoying good lokas. Then, yeah, exactly, that's what a deva is. Then Ishvara wanted to teach a lesson. So it came in form of a yaksha, and he calls Varuna Devata,
Agni.
Agni Devata, and he says that and holds a little piece of grass. And he challenges the Agni Devata to say, hey, you burned this. Agni laughs. What job are you giving me? This is ridiculous, right? To go to Agni Devata and say that you just light this little, grass, one stalk of grass. Then Agni tries. It's a story, right? He is not able to do it. He's flustered. What? How come it is not done? Right? Then comes the Vayu Devata. Vayu Devata, and he again comes to Yaksha, and the Agni is all, he said, there is some person who's challenging, and it seems like, what is this ridiculous challenge, but actually I couldn't manage. Vayu says, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to check this person out. So he says, now to this Vayu Devata, he again takes that stalk of grass and he says, you just move it. Vayu says, what? I move mountains and things with my wind. If there is a storm, if there is a hurricane, you should see the winds, what they do. In all these islands, there is a hurricane season. And in that hurricane season, the whole houses can be all gone with the force of the wind. Removed, uprooted. So therefore they all have warnings, right? Level 1 hurricane, they watch the direction of the wind and all very closely. So this is where he says, if I can do all of that, what to talk of this little stalk of grass? Then he cannot move it. Then the third Devata is, then they both say, and they go to Indra. Indra is who? The king of Devaloka. So they go to Indra and they say that now there is some person here, he's challenging us for things which seem totally insignificant, but we are not able to do anything. So Indra also goes, and Indra is a little clever. Instead of saying, okay, now you tell me and I'll try to do, he bows down and he says, who are you? It's not ordinary that somebody can challenge you to do something so insignificant and you can't do it. And now these are all devatas. And the yaksha takes the form of Uma. Uma is what? Knowledge. And starts telling what that Ishvara is. And within Ishvara are all the devas. And the real glory belongs not to the devas but to what? Ishvara. So these are the stories where even in Devaloka they were given knowledge. And in Brahmaloka, that they say is a possibility to know. But to get Brahmaloka is supposed to be the highest among all the lokas. There are 7 lokas up and 7 lokas down. To get to Brahmaloka, one should have done some amazing amount of punya. So what our teacher used to say, that as a human birth, if you are given the capacity to know now, then to say, no, I will do lots and lots and lots of karma and I'll go to Brahmaloka and then I will know. You have a possibility of knowing now. You better use that opportunity and learn.
Because the teaching will be exactly
The same.
Yeah.
And then you will say, then our teacher used to say, he'll go with a lot of effort to Brahmaloka thinking that now Brahmaji is going to be my teacher and all hyped up, right? And he goes, and what does Brahmaji teach him? Tattvamasi. This is my local guru told me the same, right? So why do I need to exactly come all the way to Brahmaloka? So this is what it is. This seeking experiences which are of higher degree in better forms. It is what within what the samsara chakra. Samsara chakra is you are still within this whole thing of time, space, object framework. So the wise person is not, it's not the same thing. It's not like wise person has all of a sudden reprogrammed his subtle body and experiencing the pleasure that people in Indraloka are. We are not talking about that experience. What are we talking about? No matter who has what experience, it all happens within subject-object. And who am I? I am the truth of both. The subject who is experiencing the pleasure through an object, what? By the subtle body. I am what? Not only one, but I am truth of it all. So this is what has to be understood. And if people don't, if they miss this reality, then they expect some kind of a bliss to continue. Now, the thing is Ichcha. What is your Ichcha? I want that bliss. What is the reality?
We are already full.
Exactly.
And we don't need those Ichchas, we're really full.
Absolutely. So that very Ichcha of what wanting to experience the bliss will take you off from this
Yeah,
pursuit.
exactly.
It will sideline. Because you want everything to be according to your expectation. You don't want to, your commitment is not to reality. The whole, every day you have to remind yourself, my commitment is to the truth. My commitment is not to somehow fulfill my expectations, which themselves could be like completely wacko expectations. And you want to twist everything to fulfill your expectations. You never come to the truth. This is why he says, Ichcha Dvesha can take you on a tangent. That's why every day you need a prayer. Gayatri Mantra. Give me clarity. Give me clarity. Put me in touch with reality. It's nothing about how I want things to be. It is about understanding what is. Whole thing is pursuit of knowledge. Knowledge means it is Vastu Tantra. It is in keeping with what is. And what do I need to do? I just need to remove my veil. I am not creating anything new. This is the orientation with which one has to listen to Vedanta. Only then Vedanta will bless. Otherwise, even with Vedanta, here he says, Ichcha Dvesha will take you on a tangent. So, Sarva Bhutani Sammoham. It's so easy to be deluded in any pursuit. Okay? Sarge Yanti Parantapa. Everything, there is a delusion and they get deluded and they go off track. Here he says, Yesham Tvantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvandva Moha Nirmukta Bhajante Mam Drudavrataha. How to make sure that I don't go on a tangent knowingly or unknowingly in my pursuit. So this is where he says that it requires two things. One is punya. There is a lot of punya. Even for you to stay on track itself is a result of a lot of punya. We had when I was studying, we had a person who had a little difficult background, as a child he had some abuse issues and things like that. And he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think there are very few people as brilliant as he was. Total clarity, not only in Vedanta, in Sanskrit, and like he could at times, in Sanskrit especially, answer questions that even my teacher had to think about. So he's just quite exceptionally bright. And because of that abuse that he had gone through, what happened is a lot of pain started coming out. In spite of understanding which is way beyond average, all the pain started coming out. And when that pain started coming out, then what? There was this feeling that was arising that Vedanta is not working for me. Because there is just, in fact, at that point in time when the pain is coming out, it's more than, it seems to be more than what was before. Because before we find ways to shove it under the carpet. So when it begins to come out, it says, oh my God, I'm even worse off. Forget this constant pleasure that I was expecting.
All I feel is pain.
Right? Not only that I'm not going to get, but I have all this overwhelming pain that is taking over me. And then you feel, oh my God, let me just go back to my normal way of being. Because at least that was a little manageable. We all have these doubts. Huh?
Took a break.
He took a break for about a month, but he came back and he was very... And he went and he prayed and he went to some place, and now he's extremely successful. He's doing very, very well, and he really helped himself. But there were moments of that self-doubt he had, because there was the whole thing was, but this is what he says, Mam Drudavrataha. In this place, and when there are doubts, what keeps you going is what? Your relationship with Ishvara. You stick to Ishvara and you say what? That this pain which is under the carpet has to come out. And I'm not afraid of that. Embrace all the emotions. Why is it coming out? So that I can deal with it, and once I deal with it, it exists my system. If it doesn't exist, it will continue to what? Rule me and distort my vision of things.
So it won't control me anymore.
So it won't control me anymore.
It will still be around.
So that is released. But a lot of it will be released, so the intensity will reduce a lot. And over a period of time, you can actually at times, one good way of understanding what is your relationship with these certain traumas that you are carrying. So if you bring to your mind this trauma, the past trauma, there is a mental discomfort that you feel, right? You really feel, and also that your body and everything. Then the more you deal with it, then what happens? At one point you bring it, and the impact it has on you is what? Marginal. Over a period of time, it just becomes, much less in its intensity and marginal. But you need to deal with it. So the way our teacher used to say, the only sane way to deal with fear is to welcome fear. Not to have fear of feeling fear. If you have feeling fear of feeling fear, fear will hold you. But if you say, hey, let fear come, and I'm not afraid of fear, fear will come, it will give me an opportunity to do whatever necessary corrections that are there, I'll do, then what? The fear will lose its sting to what? Pull me down. So this is how you deal with that. For all emotional getting well, you need help of Ishvara. The traumas that you had, how are you going to resolve? Which is the point where you are going to resolve all these traumas? Some are your imagined traumas and some are real traumas. Some are the traumas which are from a child's perception, which is what, like parents go to work and I feel abundant. Parents didn't abuse, they didn't do anything wrong. You just felt abundant. There was more pratibhasika there. It was your burden that you took on. And with that burden you kept living, thinking, I'm abundant. In other case, you were really abused. Then it was not your perception, it was not pratibhasika, it was what? Vyavaharika. So you can't feel guilty for that. And if it happened, you felt violated and you don't need to feel guilty for that. It's valid. Given what happened, I can't but feel like that. Because otherwise what happens is we keep denying and we keep blaming ourselves for feeling like this. And we keep trying to cover. Oh no, the person was not wrong. It is me. It's not you. It is that person. That lucidity you have to have. In the other case, you have to own up and say, no, it was my perception, it was really not my parent. But in the other case, you have to say, it is not my burden, it is that person's responsibility. That person did abuse me. And I could not but feel angry. I could not but feel resentment. It's valid. I should not feel guilty about feeling that resentment and brush it aside. Oh, how can I think like that? That is a problem. But after having done that, I can go one step further. And I can say that that person, himself or herself, under this veils, could not do any better. So if I look for the causes for that person's behavior, again, so many other causes. Then who am I going to put a blame to? Which person along the chain am I going to keep on holding on my resentment towards?
That's a beautiful healing thought.
That's a very healing thought. You're not denying and you're not trying to say, oh, this person didn't do. These are not truths. Whenever you try to heal yourself, not in keeping with the truth and twist the realities, you will never be healed. But when you heal yourself in keeping with the realities, then you will be healed. Then you can say what within Ishvara's order, there are just too many factors. Who am I going to hold on? Then you ask for help for Ishvara. There are causes within causes, within causes, within causes. But the fact is, I am with this feeling of resentment. Help me to get over it. Otherwise, the power of these emotions can really say, now this is too difficult, Vedanta is too difficult. Let me go back to my comfort zone, which is, even though it's not something great, but at least I have found certain defense mechanisms to handle it.
And I don't have to see the realities.
And I don't have to see the realities.
Healing requires a lot of honesty.
Healing requires a lot of honesty. And only, see, if your commitment is to the final truth, can you here be not truthful? Can you expect here to kind of avoid and then be connected to the truth? This is program of Ishvara. If you are really interested in the final truth, you have no choice but to align with truth at every level. It can be painful. But you are getting well. In other cases, you are getting further and further deep into tangle. So therefore, this is what he says, Dhrida Vrataha, and that you need your own effort and you need what grace of Ishvara to continue to stay on the path of truth and not be deviated by your raga and desha. Okay, so here the next verse, which is 29, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mama Shritya Yatantiye Te Brahma Tadvidu Krustam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. So, here he says that again, having taken refuge in me, those who make effort for freedom, they know the Brahman wholly as themselves, and they also know karma in its entirety. So here there are few things that we need to know. Karma you can know in its entirety. Can you really know karma in its entirety? Can you know the details of everything? It's impossible. But you can know karma in its entirety by what? Sorry? Not by inference, but to kind of, see, we use this model, is what, that every action that you do has result, right? And every result is what, both seen and unseen. The seen result accrues immediately and unseen can accrue any time, whether in this lifetime or in the next lifetime, because the laws of cause and effect don't what operate within 50 years or 100 years period. Every cause and effect is what, from the beginning of the creation. So therefore, this is something which is going to happen, and those causes are going to bring what? Bodies. And they are going to continue to bring bodies. The only way to get out of this whole cycle is what? To know that I am not the doer. Because every karma is for who? For a karta. Who is a karta? The doer. And where is this doership existing? Exactly. So there is, you are born and you have a sense of doership. It exists in what? Right now in your subtle, the whole expression is through your subtle body. That's why the knowledge also, you're using what? The mind. Right? So you have this I sense which you think is the reality about you, that becomes what? Is interested in enjoying the world in a given way. So that is the bhoktutvam. And for that enjoyment, you do actions. So there is karta and bhokta there. And every action is done for this karta and bhokta. Every bhokta defines what will make me happy differently. And according to how you have defined what will make you happy, you engage in the world, you do your actions. And the actions give you the result. In entire thing, karta bhokta is taken as the reality about you. What does the knowledge do?
So
See it is as a relative entity. Mithya entity. Mithya doesn't mean it's not real. It's empirically true. But it is not the reality about it. The minute the karta and bhokta is understood through knowledge as only a relative reality, and who are you? The actionless Atma, the entire karma goes for you. So that means the person understands karma in its entirety by saying that as long as my I is in karta and bhokta, I am subject to karma. The minute I shift my I to the real nature of I into awareness, there is no karma for me. Okay? A lot of people, when they listen to Vedanta, they get caught in karma model, as though karma is the central message of Bhagavad Gita. They try to find out all the details. Yeah, so today, this time, I'm feeling like this. So, oh, in past birth, I must be like that. Therefore, I'm doing it. This is all ridiculous. Nobody knows who was what. And how far are you going to go? 2 births, 3 births? How many births have you had? So, this is where Ichha, Dvesha will take you on a tangent. You are listening to Vedanta. What is the Tatparya? To make you see you are not the doer. Where has your Ichha taken you?
Doing more things.
To doing more things and finding out all about past births. I mean, you will go on. No, not one life is enough for you to find out about all the cycles of creation and all the different births that you had. Your whole commitment has changed and you don't realize it. The other person also asks the same thing. A lot of Europeans ask this question and they say that, the whole Vedanta is just absolutely brilliant and logical, but there is one problem here, that it talks about here and now, right? Vedanta, when I am talking about awareness, Ishvara, am I talking about something which is away from here? Am I talking about something which is behind everything? I'm talking about something which is everywhere but we miss it. So they said everything is about here and now and it's extremely logical. But there is one thing which is non-verifiable, and that is this whole karma theory. That who knows whether I'm here after this birth, I'm going to continue or not. And who knows whether there are lokas or not. And who knows whether I will go there or not. So why this element is there in Vedanta, which makes it what? Little bit belief based rather than knowledge based. Very, very often people ask this question. So what we say is, if I understand, what is the commitment of Vedanta?
Understanding the true I.
To understand the true I. Once I understand the true I as awareness, does it really matter whether I have karma or not, whether I'll go here or there or not? Whether I go or I don't go, I'm not going to go from now onwards.
There's no separate real entity.
It's
Absolutely.
a dependent reality.
Absolutely. So that means the whole commitment of Vedanta Shastra is not to what? To give you some more and more fuel to your karma. It is by solving this basic fundamental problem to stop that karma. Whether it is just there or not is not an issue anymore. Whether there is a next loka or not, if I'm not interested in going there, what does it matter whether there is loka or not?
It's about the creation and all that, whatever theory comes, it's not a matter of Vedanta actually.
Yeah. Because the commitment is to what? Making you understand who you are. Everything else is just a prakriya. Prakriya means a methodology to make sense of the world that you otherwise don't make sense of. And they may be true because they answer many questions that otherwise cannot be answered. So they are plausible. But the commitment of Shastra is not to that. So then what happens is, if you try to focus on this and you keep on arguing about why should I not be able to prove it, what have you done? You missed the whole point. You've gone on a tangent without realizing it. You have moved away from the intention of Shruti and got sidetracked into some minor detail, and using that minor detail, you are just then people use that to say, then the Shruti is all anyway belief. They extend the logic and dismiss the whole thing. Very often there are just so many impediments to knowledge. So that Ichcha and Dvesha can any time, even when you are looking into Vedanta, I tell you, you just need lot of punya to stay on the track. Okay? So here he says, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritte Yatanti Ye. Okay? So if you keep on trying but in the right direction, then what he says, one day you will know yourself. That is a promise. Okay? So that he says, Te Brahma Viduhu Krusnyam. Okay? They will know Brahman totally. It is a possibility. That also a lot of people ask me. Is it really a possibility? Does anybody really can know that I am awareness which is limitless? Is it a possibility? Or is it just some nice idea? It is, because it is you. And it is already accomplished. If you were to produce limitlessness, it's impossible. But if it is already there, and if it is you, then what? Obviously it is a possibility. The whole teaching is to make you see what is, and that is what collapses that possibility. So the minute you know the Brahman, you also know what? The relativity of karma. It goes together.
Brahman cannot be refuted in any way.
In any way, exactly. Because the person who refutes, there itself there is this I. You can negate the whole world, but can you negate I am? And what you think is I, if Shruti has negated that it is not I, then you have to find where is this I. So this is where that Brahman is, you can know Brahman totally, and you can also know karma totally, not by knowing the detail, but by knowing that karma is only relevant till the knowledge takes place. Once the knowledge takes place, the whole thing collapses.
So it holds its power
So it
till
holds its
such
power.
time when you understand yourself.
Exactly. When it loses its power. Wonderful. Until the time that you understand this reality, you are subject to karma. But once you understand Brahman, karma loses its reality. Wonderfully put, Rajna. So, this is then, here he says, the last verse. What is the time? Yeah, 10:30. So I'm on
Yeah,
time.
nice time.
Okay, good. So, the last verse, it says, Sadhi bhutadi daivam mam sadhiyatnyancha ye viduhu prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha. He says, now imagine if the person has devoted once, from the time that one discovered Vedanta as a pursuit, and that moksha can be gained by knowledge. It's not a matter of putting your mind in some kind of a framework, but it's understanding the reality of what is. Then, and when you start with the pursuit and you continue with sincerity, Lord Krishna says that it's not only that when you are young and your mind is sharp. Most of the people tell me, oh, I've come to Vedanta a little too late. I wish I had come when I was younger, when my capabilities were a little bit better. Right? You say that? So that means here Lord Krishna says there is no early and later and all. Right? Any time you start is a good time to start. And he says that it can culminate into the knowledge, what? Prayana kale. Even if you feel that a whole life I've tried so hard and I haven't totally got it, what? Till the last breath, there is a chance. It's a possibility. Any time you can be blessed with this total vision. Prayana kale. And then this is where that human birth, and if you have lived your life, what? Knowing what you want and working towards it, right? The result of this whole Brahma Vidya, you can be blessed with it at any given time. Even at the end of your life, if you are blessed, what will happen? You are as free as somebody who was, what, 25 years ago. There is no difference. There is no difference.
You just may not have the time to live it. Sense of Vidya.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have time to live with that freedom and to share the joy and to share this fullness.
Krishna is worried about that.
But at least your moksha is possible till the last breath. So don't give up. And don't tell yourself, oh, for me it's too difficult. Oh, for me this life is not going to be possible. Don't say that. Because you don't know, maybe you started long ago, and even if you didn't start long ago, you have a sharp mind and you can make quantum jumps. Nobody knows. All these possibilities are there. So therefore, say that it is a possibility, and I will try my best to get it. But also be very aware that I don't control. Then you, exactly, you need Ishvara's grace. And this is why you need prayers. This Brahma Sutra, we did Chatussutri, and two sutras are on Ishvara. The first sutra is Adhyatma Vidya. The second is Janmadhyasya Yataha. The third is Shastra Yonitvat. And the fourth is Tattu Samavaya. The two sutras, Janmadhyasya Yataha and Shastra Yonitvat, they are among four. Chatussutri is supposed to be a very important sutras of Brahma Sutra because they actually explain the entire vision, then they go into details. And out of the four, two are of Ishvara. What is Ishvara? Janmadi yasya yataha. Asya jagataha. That means of this jagat. Janma, sthiti and laya. What? The birth, sustenance and going is from whom? This is what Shastra is talking about. What is that? Ishvara. So that means anything that you see, because everything which comes from this Ishvara is sustained by Ishvara and unto which everything goes. Now, this Ishvara, if I were to know, my eyes are not sufficient. So where does the knowledge come? Shastra Yonitvat. The knowledge of Ishvara comes from whom? Ishvara. It doesn't come from human being, it comes from Ishvara. Shastrasyapi yoni. In the form. It is in the form of Shastra. Through that body of knowledge, it makes you see the truth. Right? So that means the Jagat is Ishvara. The key to this Jagat is also with Ishvara. And that you can use the key to see the reality of what? And that you can see the totality of it is also within the order of Ishvara. The whole pursuit has what its place in Ishvara. So, this Ishvara, which is so central to what Vedanta Shastra was explained in this 7th chapter. Different aspects. Because we always have very partial understanding of Ishvara. So many verses were used for you to have a complete understanding of Ishvara. So you don't miss out any given part. Because if you miss out any given part, what will happen? Your knowledge will remain partial. So nobody can say, oh, I've listened to it and I've understood it all. Hey, if you understood it all, you'll be a Jnani. I've listened to it all, I've understood it all, and still I'm confused. That means you haven't understood it all. Recognize where are the problems, then try to solve. Otherwise, you are in your own world and nobody can help. Right? So this is where the whole life, if there is one central message, our teacher used to say that if you have come to me, leaving everything very important that you are doing, everybody is busy in this world, everybody has many things which are very important things that they do. If you left everything and if you came here, you are investing time, you are investing resources. As a teacher, your responsibility is to not say as clearly as possible what the teaching. That is your responsibility. What is students' responsibility?
To responsibly listen and try to assimilate.
Exactly. To responsibly try to listen and try to assimilate. And he says, in that assimilation, right, if I have done one thing, I would, because people helplessly, because of their raga, dvesha, their orientations, they go on a tangent. It's not that people want to go on a tangent. They are driven. He says, the only entity which can help you to come out of that tangent is who? Ishvara. So he says that if I have connected you to that Ishvara, then I have ensured that you are connected, and I don't know whether in this lifetime or in which lifetime you will know, but I have put you on track. Once I give you connection to Ishvara, I as a form may not be there. How long we will spend together, if I ever will see you again or not, I have no idea. But if you have come here and invested time, and if I connect you to Ishvara, then I have done my job. Because then Ishvara will take over. I can't decide who will get what from my classes. I can't decide. If I could decide, then what? I would want moksha for everyone.
Having here the vision of Ishvara, you sort of go into more broader feeling, like
Exactly.
you think of more people,
Yes.
more compassion comes
Yes.
in. Even now, whatever you do, there will be a little more connect, a little
Exactly.
more subtleness or
More
something,
subtle.
or more
Absolutely. I love.
empathy or
Yes.
something.
It is something, I love the way Surya expressed that whole feeling in meditation. He used a very sweet kind of example. He says when a little child is playing, right, and then from time to time, generally is quite busy playing and everything, but from time to time wants to be checking for that mother. He goes, looks, it's there, wonderful, starts playing again. From time to time you need, because there will be moments of what? Doubt, all kinds of feelings, crisis, helplessness, it will continue. You need that, and the only place where you can relax and you can get that source of reassurance.
A lap of Ishvara.
Exactly. So this is where our teacher used to say, the final relaxation, that the deep relaxation you get is in the lap of Ishvara. Relax in the lap of Ishvara. Do what needs to be done, but that time and again, human being needs that buffer. Without that buffer, life becomes just too stressful. Too much, because it's true that I don't know how tomorrow is going to be. It's true. So how are you going to avoid fears? How are you going to avoid anxiety? How are you going to, there is no way other than this reality. You relax in the lap of Ishvara and you do what you have to do. So if I have connected you to this Ishvara, I would feel that I have done my job. And then I wish you all the very best in your life pursuit. And if moksha is the pursuit, then certainly no matter how much you understand, this knowledge is such that it cannot but deeply penetrate. Because it is the truth. This is the strength of the truth. It's not the strength of the person who's speaking and the techniques, and this is a ridiculous way of looking at it. It's nothing about the person, it's about the reality. And if I keep on looking at, did this person say this right or not? Where is my attention? I'm at a wrong place. This is our mind, which is a narrow mind, which just keeps on what? That it defines what I'm going to look for in this. It's beyond me and beyond you. What I can do with my abilities, I have done. But it is beyond me. And what you could have done, you have done. That is also within the order. And how this knowledge is going to take you forward is also within the order of Ishvara and a function of your free will. Both. So, with this, I wish you all the best and in your life journey and in your relationship with Ishvara and ultimately knowing the truth of yourself. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Pyo